Hello there. Yes, I'm making this and I'm being a bit of a jerk while I'm making this. But November 18th of this year, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet releases, and I'm going to be doing a 24-hour stream, and I would like to see you all there. That's right, November 18th. That's a Friday, 24-hour stream. I will be doing it, and I will be having fun. So come on by, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, do all that stuff, and yeah, we'll have fun. So I don't know whether to be disappointed, a little a little down with this news, or at least happy that a channel that I once had extreme love and appreciation for will no longer be destroying everything, or moving forward could potentially no longer continue destroying its once really profitable and really good brand. But Cartoon Network merging operations with Warner Bros. Animation as part of strategic realignment. And we went over this, and I'll link the video down below or towards the end. But DC has massive cuts. They have new plans that are coming through, and part of that is realignments, cuts, things of that nature. And I already thought Cartoon Network was cut, but it appears that they are just going to merge it with Warner Brothers Animation. And going through this article, I lamented the actually really good times of Cartoon Network. You know, you had that amazing Teen Titans series, Ben 10, of Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Foster's Imaginary Home. No. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. You had all these really fun shows that I still go back to and watch, and I'm happy that they're on WB. But gone are the days of those fantastic shows. Just straight fantastic shows. And it's sad. And I truly think it is good that this is happening, even though we won't be getting new IPs for possibly a long time. But Cartoon Network is going to change big time under the Warner Bros. Discovery banner, and the basic cable channel / animation studio responsible for decades of renowned original programs could cease to exist as we knew it. According to the internal memo obtained and covered by Variety and Cartoon Brew, CNN Studios will fold into one entity with Warner Bros. Animation as part of a strategic realignment. And we knew this was going to happen. Cartoon Network hasn't been putting out decent shows. Cartoon Network has been struggling. It is constantly pushing out woke propaganda, trans ideology, gay ideology, doing all this, going back, making characters this, that, and otherwise. And the only decent... I haven't looked back at Cartoon Network in a long time. When I quit watching, it was still had Steven Universe, some Adventure Time, I think was still going on. You had Gumball and shows like that, but it was constantly getting annoying and repetitive and nothing fun. Gone was the day of Johnny Bravo. Gone was the day of the good Scooby-Doo. But granted, a lot of that is Hanna-Barbera, but still that's under Cartoon Network. Those days were gone, and I was getting tired. Yeah, Teen Titans Go! That was the stupidest show that I've ever laid eyes on, and it didn't hold a candle to that amazing Teen Titans series. I wish we got that final season. Man, they set it up for a great story arc, and I wish we got that, but we're not. Said realignment resulted in a string of new layoffs, up to 82 scripted, unscripted, and animation employees of WB Television Group last month. Additionally, 43 open positions will not be filled, and all told, 26% of WB TV workforce has been slashed. Got to make that money up somewhere, and you got to cut costs as best as you can. Regardless, the memo states that CNS, WBA, Cartoon Network Studios, Warner Brothers Animation, and Hanna-Barbera Europe will continue on as labels, but the former two will lose their autonomy. Development and production of Warner Brothers Animation and Cartoon Network Studios will be combined, costing Cartoon Network a say in the creative and operations it enjoyed until now. And I think that's good. I think it's good, even though we won't be getting anything new for a while. It's good in the sense that when you see something putting out consistent garbage over and over, things that bastardize a thing that you grew up with and looked upon so fondly, when you see something continuing to do that, you want it to stop, and maybe this is good for now. Maybe for the time, even though it's still going to be putting out content, it's not going to be the content that we had. And I think it's good. I do. Eventually, they might put out new content again, but for the meantime, it looks like they're going to be putting out solely reboots and renew stuff, reused old stuff, and they go into it here soon. Cartoon Brew sees this as a bad omen. The Cartoon Network output and legacy of original content that took off in earnest after the success of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which was actually really good. Warner Brothers Animation has traditionally been a much more catalog IP driven studio, while Cartoon Network Studio has been the studio that puts out original series and specials that occasionally become touchstones for generations of viewers. And that's true. I grew up watching Powerpuff Girls. I loved Powerpuff Girls. I thought it was fun. I loved Dexter's Laboratory. I loved Johnny Bravo. I loved all this stuff, but it's gone now, and what they're giving us is kind of garbage. And they cite examples of the last decade, including Uncle Grandpa, which was a fever dream that was disturbing to watch at some point in time. Steven Universe, which was not pretty and dealt with themes, and people have commandeered it, and it is a nightmare. Clarence, we don't even need to talk about Clarence. And Over the Garden Wall, which actually was pretty good. I'll give them that. But we'd be remiss not to go further and acknowledge Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Johnny Bravo, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, and Robot Chicken. And that's true. Again, a lot of Cartoon Network Studios included some Adult Swim activities. You had your Rick and Morty's. I don't know if Rick and Morty was started through, I think Cartoon Network Studios greenlit it. It was, Dan Harmon's creation, but they greenlit it, put it forward, and it's not as good as it once was, but it's still pretty dang good. And a lot of the Adult Swim shows are original IPs that they just throw out there and see what happens. And Aqua Teen Hunger Force was fantastic. You had, I want to say, I know it's not Adventure Time, but it's, I'll come back to me later. Not Johnny Quest, but it was the Adult Swim version of like Johnny Quest, and I can't think what it is. Venture Brothers. You had that. You had some fun things that they were putting out, but it gets bogged down with all the crap that you're also putting out. On the Warner Prime side, you have an IP-based catalog that boasts DC selections like Bat Wheels, Aquaman, King of Atlantis, Oh, that looks disastrous. Teen Titans Go, which is awful. Harley Quinn, which I don't even want to address because I'm so tired of that character. And Justice League Action, which I haven't even watched. I've seen images of, and I'm not interested in, which are middling at best. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav openly leans more toward established IPs under his leadership. There will be a greater focus on the likes of Superman and Batman, which he views as underutilized. And that's true. They were focusing in on characters that we didn't really want. And granted, Teen Titans, I would love to get that final season of Teen Titans. Give me that final season of Teen Titans. Give me a good Batman show. If Batman Caped Crusader didn't have J.J. Abrams on, if they weren't talking about modernization and everything like that, I would have been interested in. Excuse me. Continue things like that. Give us back. You know what we could do? Take that idea of Batman Caped Crusader. Take that basic idea of, hey, let's retool Batman the Animated Series. Let's just retool it. Let's take the premise of Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, and let's redo the animated series arc. Where you had Batman the Animated Series that went into Superman the Animated Series, that went into Static Shock, which went into Justice League Unlimited. You had Batman Beyond. Let's retool this and actually make this kind of a universe on Cartoon Network. Let's redo that. And you know what you can do? You can bring back that amazing Teen Titans show, retool it, make it for the animated universe, and throw that in there. And you can have them cross over and everything and just have it on there. That would be a good thing. That would be cool. And then, again, you have your Batman the Animated Universe, new edition, whatever. Batman Z, let's call it that. And in this universe, Batman does Batman stuff. Sometimes he'll cross over into Superman will cross over, or other characters will cross over. That could work. You can then have a bunch of old IPs. And the only one they use right now, and they talk about right here, is the Powerpuff Girls. Bring back Johnny Bravo. Bring back Dexter's Laboratory. Bring back Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, even though you kind of ended that. Bring back Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Bring back all these really good old TV shows from like the late 90s, early 2000s. And you could succeed again. That's what you need to do. Ignore this disaster that we're looking at right here, which is just a clip. God, it hurts my eyes to even look at. WBD, we already talked about that. CB posits, Cartoon Brew posits, it's difficult to imagine a future in which the studio original animation output can match what it has been in the past. As long as Zaslav is king, Cartoon Network Studios is likely to shift more strongly towards reboots of existing catalog, and it is currently doing with the Powerpuff Girls, then launching a new IP. Granted, though, the Powerpuff Girls that you guys were talking about is a modernization of Powerpuff Girls. It is not a full-on retool or a reimagination or like a proper reboot. It is, you have Bubbles doing STEM and talking about coding. You have stuff like that versus actual fun adventures that you could go on. If you take Cartoon Network back to 90s, 2000s era, Cartoon Network can be profitable again. Even late 2000s into the 2010s, you can have a super profitable Cartoon Network. You just don't right now because the catalog that you do have, nobody's really interested in, and the characters you keep putting out are the same. I saw an image recently, and I don't know where it is, but it was, you know what, I'll look it up real quick. It was an image of, I'm trying to figure this out real quick, so give me a moment. It was an image of Cartoon Network through the years. and it went from its initial iteration, like some of the shows that it came out with at the beginning, to the what I would call the Renaissance period. And if I can find a good image of it. Oh, that's right. You had a fantastic moment. You had tons of these just fantastic moments. And this might be the best image we have to go off of, and I'll pull it over real quick. But I'm using this image as an example. You had Ed, Edd n Eddy. You had Samurai Jack. You had a show I cannot remember. You had this show, which was actually fun. It was all about a former jazz musician that at one point that lost his way and then went to a school for gifted students and started teaching art there. Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I cannot remember this show off the top of my head, but it was about essentially a robot that a guy retools, puts a giant car on top of it, and goes around battling monsters. You have OG Powerpuff Girls. You had Cow and Chicken, but Foster's Home, Camp Lazlo, Chowder. You had these fun, amazing shows, but now what you're getting is Steven Universe, Uncle Grandpa, We Bare Bears, which is annoying, the new Powerpuff Girls, whatever this show was, which was all about swords and crazy things with swords, but give us, if you're going to reuse IPs, which you can, just reuse the good IPs and give us good versions of that. Go back to the Renaissance and try to retool some of that stuff. Give us the good Teen Titans and ignore Teen Titans Go, which you had a stupid crossover event that I watched because it gave me the good Teen Titans. And even the good Teen Titans in that had to ignore the Teen Titans Go characters because they hated them. I actually liked that part. But then you get this Insider. Insiders see this as a Horizon 2. Former general manager of Cartoon Network Studios and 21-year figurehead Brian Miller tweeted an epitaph for his old company with a quote from Variety's article referring to the trichotomy of labels mentioned above. Warner Brothers Animation, Cartoon Network Studios, and Hanna-Barbera Studios, and it's just a repeat of what happened there, and he ends it with RIP Cartoon Network Studios. But it's sad to see a company that I once held in such high regard going away. A company that I loved, a channel that I loved, and growing up I didn't have that much money. I wasn't rich, wasn't poor, but lower middle class, and we couldn't afford cable. And I remember the day we could finally afford cable, and that was the greatest day of my life because I ran to the TV, I turned on our TV, and we didn't have like Dish or Direct. It was some local thing, and it was just a cable. Got additional channels. And I typed in the code that I knew for Cartoon Network. I went straight there, and I started watching Cartoon Network constantly because I loved it. Loved Dexter. I loved all of that stuff. And then continuing on, we ended up getting Direct and all that stuff. I started watching it through there, and I steadily watched its decline. And I didn't like it. I didn't like what I was seeing, but I continued watching because I loved the channel so much. And I'm sad to see it go. I'm sad to see it potentially becoming nothing but an IP replacement. You can still do some things with that, like I said, retool the animated series genre, but maybe it's best. Maybe it's best when you see something that you love putting out crap for so long. Maybe it's best to just say, hey, time to stop. So with that, guys, give me your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share it out with all your friends, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video and go live, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.